All right, live now here at noon. A flood watch has been issued. Pounding rain moving into the area, and this is just the first batch. There's a lot more where this came from. I'll have the forecast.
Plus, police don't think it was bullets, but something damaged at least 4 vehicles along I-75, and it wasn't debris on the road.
Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at noon starts now.
Well, thank you for joining us, everybody. Topping our news at noon, we are talking about the weather. It is warming up, but we have a flood watch in effect, and as you can see, the radar is really lighting up. Take a live look for us right now at Mount Clemens. It really is our only sky cam that's not completely blocked out by fog. Let's turn things over to meteorologist Paul Gross. He's in for Brandon this afternoon with a look at what we can expect for the rest of the day.
Well, hey, Evrod, we have a flood watch that's in effect not just today. This flood watch is in effect all the way into the day on Wednesday. So this is going to be a multi-day problem. It's going to be a long-term event. Now, lots of things to talk about. First of all, temperatures are still mostly in the 30s across the area. You can see we have a 44 here at Monroe, but most of us are in the 30s. But as I'll show you in about 10-15 minutes, it's really warm well down to the south here. We'll show you that again in a bit. Now, fog has become a bit of a problem. Down to a quarter mile over in Pontiac, down to 3/4 of a mile at Metro, quarter mile Ann Arbor over to Adrian. So visibility is an issue north of this warm front that's coming. North of the front is also this big band of rain, pounding downpours. We have lighter stuff to the north, but down here in parts of Lenawee into Monroe County, you can see these are pounding rains. And again, the ground is frozen. It's not going to soak up any of this water. And so there's nowhere for it to go. It's just wherever gravity says this is where you're going to go. Well, that's where the water is going to go. So low spots are going to flood. Streams and creeks are going to rise. Temperatures rising through the 40s this afternoon, 50s tonight. And then we have more rain and 60s coming tomorrow. We'll detail that coming up in just a bit. Don't forget, our weather app is particularly valuable on days like today. You've got radar. That radar you can check anytime you want and track each batch of rain coming in, and you can get temperatures all again on the Local Forecaster app, which is free. Just download it from the App Store. Search under WDIV. Evrod?
Alrighty, Paul, thank you. Let's get to a story that's developing right now. Several drivers reported being struck by something while they were just driving down I-75. Now, their cars were hit on Sunday between Rochester Road in Troy and the Davison Freeway exit in Detroit. Local 4's Nick Monticelli has a look at why police believe it might have been shots fired from a BB gun or even a slingshot.
Good afternoon. What's troubling about this case is not that it happened, but that it happened so many different times. 4 vehicles in just the span of 30 minutes.
It looks like something was thrown into the window, right?
It's pretty crazy. Did it come out of the sky?
Drivers seeing the damage to these vehicles can only guess what happened. This pickup truck is one of 4 damaged Sunday afternoon by some type of projectile.
Could never imagine it hits you in the right spot. That could really, cause some real damage.
But what could it be? State police have ruled out road debris and bullets, but say this is no accident and add it could have been caused by pellets, possibly from a BB gun or a slingshot.
That's horrible. I hope there's no young child or even a grown person doing that. That would be horrible.
Drivers reported being hit between 3 and 3:30 Sunday afternoon along a 10-mile stretch of I-75, spanning from Rochester Road in Troy to the Davison Freeway in Detroit.
What if there was your car? What if that was like your family member and you just caused like a great big collision,
This world's crazy, and folks have no clue what's going on, but I pray to God that whoever does it, stop it.
This comes after someone fired a gun at 4 vehicles on I-94 in December. Police do not believe the two are connected, nor do police believe it's like incidents where falling concrete or chunks of pavement damaged vehicles, meaning this is likely intentional.
Do the best to watch your surroundings, but you're going down the freeway. What are you going to do? You're going 75 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour. You're not going to see someone off in the distance,
It's important to note that nobody was injured during any of these attacks. But MSP and the other agencies investigating are still curious if there could be others. So if you think you might be one of those vehicles that may have been targeted again yesterday around 3:30 or even later, please call police. In Detroit, Nick Monticelli, Local 4.
Alrighty, Nick, thank you for the update there. We do have some very sad news to pass along to you this afternoon. Longtime Detroit media personality Cliff Russell has passed away. Russell worked as a news anchor, political analyst, sports commentator, and columnist in the Detroit area for more than 35 years. In 1994, Cliff Russell became Detroit's first black press secretary to the mayor, appointed to the position by former Mayor Dennis W. Archer. Randall Russell was 61 years old. His brother Greg, you might remember him, know him. He appears on Live ND regularly as a film critic on a weekly basis. Our condolences, though, going out to his family. Family and friends will gather today at the Rosedale Park Baptist Church to say goodbye to fallen Detroit police officer Darren Weathers. The 25-year-old was killed in a car crash on Michigan Avenue on Tuesday morning during a surveillance training exercise. His viewing begins today at 2 p.m. and it'll go until 8. Officer Weathers' funeral is scheduled for tomorrow at 11 a.m. That's at 2nd Ebenezer Church in Detroit. Well, right now, students are protesting gun violence just outside of the White House after the Stoneman Douglas massacre. And here is a live look at this. You can see a number of people with their signs. There's a woman reading a speech with a bullhorn right there. And as more families of victims in last week's mass shooting prepare for funerals, the family that took in the suspected shooter after his mother died is now speaking out. James and Kimberly Sneed say that shooting suspect Nicholas Cruz was polite and obedient when he lived with them. They were even shocked when he was arrested after these shootings. Meanwhile, the students who survived the shootings, they are getting ready now for a march on Washington in protest of gun violence, continuing what they're doing right now. And some survivors are focusing their anger at the National Rifle Association.
Don't you dare come back here. The fact that you were in power for so long and that you had so much influence for so long in America just goes to show how much time and effort we still need to spend on fixing our country.
Absolutely.
And gun control is just the first thing right now, the first thing that we are mainly focusing on.
Now, the White House says President Trump plans to hold a listening session with students and teachers that is scheduled for sometime this week. Meanwhile, President Trump is reportedly in favor of improving the background check system for gun sales. The White House released a statement today saying the bipartisan talks are already underway, and a bill to strengthen the way state and federal agencies regulate gun sales is in the process of being written. In February of 2017, Trump signed a bill to roll back gun regulations specifically for people with a history of mental illness. Turning our attention now to the ongoing Russia investigation, President Trump lashes out with a string of tweets. President Trump lashing out about the Russia investigation, unleashing a series of angry attacks that began with the president blaming his own FBI for the school massacre in Florida that left 17 dead. Mr. Trump tweeting that the FBI missed signals because they are spending too much time trying to prove Russian collusion with the Trump campaign. The charge prompting criticism from a number of Republicans.
I think it's an absurd statement, okay? Absurd.
So many folks in the FBI are doing all that they can to keep us safe. The reality of it is that they are two separate issues.
The president should be staying out of law enforcement business.
Democratic Congressman Ruben Gallego calling the president a, quote, psychopath, tweeting, "America will regret the day you were ever born." President Trump also going after his own national security advisor, H.R. McMaster, who said this at a security conference in Germany about Russia's interference in the 2016 election.
As you can see with the FBI indictment, the evidence is now really incontrovertible.
Mr. Trump publicly scolding McMaster, saying he forgot to say that the results of the 2016 election were not impacted or changed by the Russians, a conclusion that the intelligence community has not reached. The president has not mentioned what, if anything, his administration is doing to retaliate against Russia or prevent them from interfering in future elections. The president asserting that the Russia probes are creating discord, disruption, and chaos rather than condemning Russia, adding they are laughing their blanks off in Moscow. Mr. Trump also falsely claiming that he never said Russia did not meddle in the election, despite multiple statements that prove otherwise, including remarks made aboard Air Force One in November when he said he believes Vladimir Putin when he says that Russia did not meddle in the election. Mr. Trump sarcastically praising Democrat Adam Schiff for saying that the Obama administration could have taken a stronger stance against Russia, insulting him as, quote, little, and calling him a leaking monster of no control.
This is a president who claims vindication anytime someone sneezes. I've said all along that I thought the Obama administration should have done more, but none of that is an excuse for this president to sit on his hands.
Schiff challenging the president directly, asking, if McMaster can stand up to Putin, why can't you? The president insisting special counsel Robert Mueller's indictment of 13 Russians and 3 Russian entities for attempting to sway the election vindicates him, insisting it proves there was no collusion between his campaign and Russia, despite the fact that Mueller's investigation into potential collusion is ongoing. And the LA Times is reporting that President Trump's former top campaign aide, Rick Gates, has agreed to testify against former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort and will plead guilty to fraud-related charges within days. A little bit closer to home now, some pretty major changes coming for downriver commuters. Some orange barrel alerts, in fact. The ramp from Eureka Road to southbound I-75 and the ramp from North Line and Allen Roads to southbound I-75 are going to be closed for road work as part of the River Rouge project. Now, traffic has also been reduced down to just one lane in both directions of Allen Road, North Line, and Eureka Roads underneath the freeway, so you can expect some major traffic congestion there. MDOT has not given a specific date for when these roads will be fully reopened, but the entire project is expected to ramp up by the end of this year. You can go to clickondetroit.com. We've got a full list of construction projects for you there to stay aware of. All right, so to come here on Local 4 News at noon, a drug used to euthanize animals is found in some cans of dog food. We'll tell you what brand is being recalled and what concerns are there. Also, we are talking about Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Scott Pruitt, who is now postponing a trip to Israel. We'll tell you why he's having second thoughts.
Lou.
Welcome back. Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Scott Pruitt has postponed a planned trip to Israel in the wake of criticism over his travel practices. Pruitt had planned to be in Israel this week to discuss environmental issues, but the trip has now been postponed indefinitely. Pruitt has come under fire for flying in first class and staying at expensive hotels, all at taxpayers' expense. He's claimed that his travel arrangements were often dictated by security concerns. The United States Supreme Court will hear a case next week involving what people can and cannot wear when they vote. The state of Minnesota bars people from wearing political items like campaign T-shirts and buttons to polling places. The state says that the rules prevent voter confusion and intimidation, but a legal foundation is challenging the law, saying it violates the right of free speech. The case goes beyond the state now. The state of Michigan, however, has for decades prohibited the display of election-related materials at polling places. A major Michigan utility today announcing a long-range goal of ending the use of coal. Consumers Energy says that it will end electricity production from coal by the year 2040. The utility has already closed 7 of its 12 coal-fired plants. Consumers says that by 2040, it plans to generate 40% of its energy from renewable sources like wind and solar energy and more reliance on natural gas and hydropower. The company's CEO says that consumers wants to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, saying that we believe that climate change is real. All right, there's a lot more to come here at noon, including trouble in paradise, heavy rain and thunderstorms hitting Hawaii, but is more expected. Paul?
Yeah, trouble in paradise and trouble in our paradise as well. We have a flood watch in effect. This is a 3-day flood watch in effect today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. A lot of rain coming, and wait till you see the crazy temperatures coming our way as well. I will break it all down for you just ahead.
I'm Meryl Davis, and my partner Charlie White is not the only star on ice in his family. See who shares his passion for ice dance and hockey on Local 4.
Monumental.
All right.
Hell yeah, out in Hawaii this afternoon. Take a look at this flood watch in effect for parts of Oahu.
Yeah, and there's still more heavy rain and thunderstorms to come. After torrential storms on Saturday, streams were overflowing, which then led for several road and freeway closures. And then when another round of rain slammed the island on Sunday, the conditions got even worse. You can see people having to wade through the water there and the flash flooding that's happening. This morning, people are even stranded in place. They're not able to drive through the high water levels.
But we were afraid to go back the other way because it was bad enough that we were wondering if we would make it through in the first place. So
right now you're just kind of in limbo waiting it out.
Yes, we decided, well, the best course of action might be to stay in a place where there's not water running.
I mean, that's probably a good idea. Not as intense as Hawaii, hopefully, but we might be expecting flood conditions of our own here in Metro Detroit this morning. But when you look at that video, Paul, like they still live in Hawaii. Like, I mean, come on.
Yeah, people vacation. If you're paying $200 a night, that's not what you want.
Should have checked with you first.
Well, yeah, check with me first, right. Okay, we have so much to talk about. And believe it or not, even though the flood threat is the greater risk for us over the next 2-3 days, people aren't asking me about that. Everybody's asking about these temperatures. So we'll start with temperatures. This is what a lot of you want to know. Now, we're in the 30s right now. We do have a 44 here at Monroe. But look at what's happening down to our south. We have a warm front here. That's the front edge of the warm air. And, man, once that front moves through, boom, it's instantly into the 50s. And look at this, 60 over in Muncie, 61 right now in Indianapolis. And this is all coming our way. So we are looking at quite a change in temperature over the next 12 to 18 hours. So while we're talking about temperatures, tomorrow we have a bunch of different records we could be breaking. 63 is the record high. We will probably break that one. The record for the warmest low temperature ever for tomorrow is 54. We're going to be close to that one. Not sure if we're going to break it, but we'll be very close. And then now back to talking about rain. Most rainfall we've ever had tomorrow is just over an inch of rain. That was back in the late 1800s. And so we have a shot at breaking that one as well. And that's because we have this enormous conveyor belt of moisture coming up from the south. And the bad news is that this stripe right here, this is not going to change literally all the way into Wednesday morning, and then only then will we finally shift it off to the east. So as we close in, give you an idea of this next current batch of rain coming in. This is soaking rains here, and you can see it's moving generally in an east-northeasterly direction. So it's going to be a while before this stuff gets out of here. So if you're heading out at this noon hour, take the umbrella. In fact, the entire afternoon, the evening, keep it with you for the next 3 days, because it is just going to be downright wet around here. So here's a brand new computer model just into the computer. And I want to emphasize this warm front coming through the area late this afternoon into this evening. Dramatic, as I just showed you, dramatic temperature differences north and south. So if you go to clickondetroit.com, I've put the 4-zone forecast for late this afternoon showing you the variation in temperature for your county. So just keep in mind, this is going to be very different across the area. Once it blows to the north, now we're all warm. We just have to worry about batch after batch of rain coming in. This is late tonight. And then here's another batch coming in, a pretty solid batch here coming in tomorrow. And then we come into tomorrow night, a cold front's getting closer. That brings in another substantial batch of rain, and then there's still precip behind this cold front, so still raining Wednesday morning. It's not until this front gets off to the east that we finally move most of that moisture off to the east, and it's going to you'll see temperatures dropping as we get into the day on Wednesday. All right, so by basically Tuesday at 7 p.m. tomorrow evening, we're looking at essentially over an inch to an inch and a half of rain in most areas. And look at this, by the end of the event Wednesday, looking at over 2 inches of rain across the area. Flooding is a big risk. So 40s this afternoon will transition to 50s tonight with, again, those periods of rain. And a quick snapshot on your 7-day. Look at that, 65 tomorrow, falling temps Wednesday, and we're not out of the woods with rain yet. Friday and Sunday, more rain coming in, Evrod.
Oh boy. All right, Paul, thank you. Let's get now to this Help Me Hank recall alert this afternoon after a dangerous chemical is found in a popular brand of dog food. The J.M. Smucker Company recalling 4 brands of dog food after a drug used to euthanize animals was found in some cans of the product. How did that get there? Well, the company says they traced the contamination to an error that was made by a single supplier. It is a huge error, but all of the dog food is being recalled as a precaution. A big precaution at that. Head to clickondetroit.com for a precise list of which cans of dog food are included in that recall. All right, so to come here on Local 4, Preventing Problems. There's a program in South Africa that helps little boys stay away from drugs and crime. We'll tell you how it relies on a special bond when we come back.
Alton 106.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Right now, we want to give you a live look. Students are protesting gun violence. This is right outside of the White House after the Stoneman Douglas massacre down in Parkland, Florida. You can see the signs that people are holding there. They're carrying American flags as well. A number of media, it appears to be out there. Again, this is right in front of the White House in Washington, D.C. A number of people are laying down on the ground there as well. This protest is definitely heating up, so we're going to continue to follow this developing story. We'll update you a little bit later on Local 4. And before we go, a new idea in South Africa to help little boys from falling into a life of drugs and crime relies on an old bond between a child and a dog.
Yes, in one township, every Friday afternoon, children spend time with their dogs. They learn how to train them, how to play with them, and how to feed them.
And this is part of a program. It's called Funda Nenya, which actually means learn with a dog in Zulu. How cool is that?
That is pretty good.
Very remarkable. All right, that does it for us here at noon, everybody. We hope to see you a little bit later today on Local 4 News, First and Forward, Karen, Drew, and Ben Bailey. Have a great day.